Hello everyone, Douglas Ducote here. I've been asked a lot over the past several weeks my personal opinion as being someone that served in aviation in the United States military. What I thought of the growing number of military aircraft and helicopters that have been crashing, and sadly, the loss of life as well. There's a lot of blame going around. A lot of people are, everybody has an opinion as to why this is happening. I'm going to share with you my personal thoughts from my personal experience, not just something that I pulled out of the air. Democrats and liberals, as always, are going to disagree with what I have to say, especially if they served in the military. And that's only because they refuse to face facts, and they have a hard time facing facts. The blame game is huge, all right? But one of the things that Democrats have recently started saying is that they're trying to place the blame of this on President Trump. And it's only because they're completely uneducated on how the military budgets work and how Congress works and what happens to our country under Democrats and Republicans when it comes to military spending. Okay? So let me take you back to the beginning of my military service, which is when I got to vote for the very first time. I went into the military in 1985. And when the next presidential election rolled around, I was a little conflicted because most, if not all, of those in my unit were talking about voting Republican. All right, they wanted to vote for George Bush Sr. Now, all of my family, all of the Ducote family, and my mother's side as well, have been Democrat going back fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers. That's just what you did. You just voted Democrat because that's how your ancestors voted, which, now I know is stupid and crazy. So my confliction was that how my family had always voted and what my family was telling me, and what the members of my military unit that I was serving with were telling me. So I asked my platoon sergeant, which was a guy at the time that I trusted a lot, as you should. If he's a good platoon sergeant, you put your life in his hands, because that's what you may have to do sometime. And he took the time to sit down with me and discuss it. And he said, look, let me sum it up to you like this. And this is something that stuck with me then, and it hasn't ever changed, because it's so true. He said, and this is a guy, by the way, that had already been in, I think he had like 24 or 25 years in the United States Army at the time. And he retired shortly after this conversation. I think probably a year or two afterwards, the man retired. But he said, I can't tell you how to vote. I can't share with you my political views. But what I can share with you, Doug, is how the election will affect you and how you do your job. And he said, what I mean by that is, in my 20 plus years in the military, every time we had a Democrat as a president, we literally had to have bake sales by our wives and girlfriends to have money to buy equipment. The Democrats always downsized the military, massive cuts to the military budget, and we were hurting. We didn't even have the money to do proper training to prepare if and when we went to combat. But when a Republican was in office, we always had eventually what we needed after they slowly built the military back up to where the Democrats had destroyed it. Now, to me, as a young guy, that was a pretty shocking statement. All right. And he said, look, all politics aside, everything about, infrastructure and social security and foreign affairs and all the other things that people look at when they go into the voting booth, you have to concentrate on what you want the remaining 3, 6, 12, or a career out of the military if you choose, how you want it to affect you. If you choose to make this a career and you choose to do 20 plus years in the military before you retire, how do you want to do it? It's not if we go to war again, it's when we go to war again, because we will. Do you want to go into combat not having what you need, not having the proper equipment, supplies, beans and bullets? Or do you want to be well prepared? Do you want to be trained in advance and well prepared for anything you may have to face in your job? Because ultimately it may result in whether or not you come home to your loved ones. That didn't take much rocket science. But I had to go on his thoughts and comments towards me about this. Okay, we didn't have computers. We didn't have iPhones. We didn't have the internet. Okay, if you wanted to do any research on anything, you had to go to the library. The only news source you had was ABC, CBS, and NBC, and the newspaper. So you basically relied on your family and friends, and you went somewhere in the middle on what you thought. Well, the election day rolled around, and I voted for George Bush Sr. He was a Republican. Now, over the remainder of my military career, and to this day, for friends that I still have in the military serving, and just by paying attention to what's happening in the military budget and what's happening in the news, over the period of several years, we rotated out, obviously. Have a Republican or a Democrat come in, which was Bill Clinton, and what did he do to our U.S. military? He downgraded the living hell out of it. He sliced the budget. A whole bunch of people got sent home. Recruitment and retention went down. And literally, we couldn't fight our way out of a wet paper bag by the time he was done. He destroyed the United States military. And along with that came a lot of accidents and incidents. And a lot of people died in training accidents. Later on, George Bush, the son, was elected. And what did he do? Put the money back into the military, put the money back into military training, put the money back into supplies, beans and bullets, parts, everything we needed to build the military back up again. Okay? And again, as I'm telling you this, forget all the other stuff. Forget all the other political bullshit, because none of that matters if you don't have a strong military. Okay? If you can't fight your way into battle and win, then nothing else matters. You've lost your freedoms that we have here in America that we take so dear to heart. So George Bush builds the military back up. And sure enough, by the end of his time as presidency, regardless of what you thought of him, we were striving again in the military. And then lo and behold, Barack Obama rolls around. Barack Obama probably did more damage to the U.S. military than any other president before him, as far as the budget, as far as, and when I say the budget, we're also talking about obviously what gets sent to the president to be signed, all right? And if it's a heavy-leaning Democrat Congress and Senate, well, guess what? He's going to get his way. So whatever was sent to him, when that goes up there and you don't have what you need and you're being told that all this will work, then your military suffers. And once again, accidents start happening and people start dying. Okay? At the end of the Obama administration, most, if not all, well, I can't say all because that's not true, most of the men and women in serving the United States military were pretty fed up. A lot of people that had the opportunity to get out during the Obama administration did because of what he had done to their jobs. Okay? It'd be no different if you're a firefighter or a policeman. If you don't have what it takes to put the fire out and do it safely, or you don't have what it takes to go into the building and fight the bad guy and do it safely, then find another job where you can go home safely to your family. And that's what was happening under that situation as well. Trump comes along. Okay? He's only had a year, folks. He's pumping a lot of money into the military. He's pumping so much into the military. Let me get this. He's put so much money right now into that budget that it's more than the chiefs have asked for. And they said, wait a minute. You've exceeded what we need. What are we going to do with all this extra frickin' money? And then he said, well, I can take that money and use it for securing our border, which is part of Homeland Defense, which is all part of the United States military. And right now, as you know, we have National Guardsmen that are deploying down to the border to help protect it. Okay? So it appears that he's going to take that extra money that the Pentagon says we don't need. Now, Democrats and Republicans aren't going to tell you that. They're going to tell you he's slicing the budget, he's taking money from our men and women and serving in uniform, and he's, going to put it on the wall or whatever they're telling you. Okay, it's just, I've heard so much bullshit that it's sickening. Okay, but it's not true. None of it's true. He's doing some great things for our military and our veterans. Some of it is going to take a while for us to see because of what Obama did to it, because of what Bill Clinton did to it, and going back through the years of what Democrats have done to our military as far as degrading it is concerned. So within the next, I would say 3 years, you're going to see a very thriving military. So what's happening right now is because of the cuts that took place under Obama and the cuts that took place under Bill Clinton that we're still reeling from military-wise, and the deployments that George Bush Sr. or George Bush the son put us under, take us into several different wars, and Obama not taking us out of those wars and making things worse overseas, and now Trump having to add us into another one, which is Syria and down in Africa. Our men and women are stressed the hell out in the military. Okay? The money flow to keep the equipment updated and flying properly hasn't reached that potential yet, its full potential. The aircraft are getting old and need to be replaced. Under Democrats, those projects go out the window. Under Republicans, they come back. It takes time to build all that up. When you've sliced the people in the military and cut the jobs and kick people out and come and make a smaller military, manpower-wise, then these guys and girls are literally going on, a year and a half deployment to combat and just tearing their equipment up and having very little parts to fix it with. Then they come home, which should be at least a year to rest and recover, and they're back out the door 3 months later, going on another freaking combat deployment. So the equipment is being ragged out. The men and women are being stressed out. They're overworked and they're underpaid. How in the hell our society come up with a pay scale that pays men and women in Congress and senators more money than the U.S. military does is beyond me. It's very sad that we've set up a system this way. The highest paid people, in my personal opinion, outside of those that save our lives here, doctors, policemen, firefighters, should be the U.S. military. And we don't even pay firefighters and policemen worth of shit. Doctors get paid well. Lawyers get paid excellent. And members of Congress make a fortune. Doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. So, if you want to place the blame anywhere on why we're having so many military crashes, I'll be the one to tell you. It's because of what the Democrats do to the military in their time in service. They downgrade the shit out of it. And now it's taking forever because of all the damage that Obama did in 8 years. And then, Mr. got the girl on her knees in the Oval Office, Bill Clinton did. I mean, thank God. Just imagine if Hillary Clinton had become president. What would happen to our military after 8 years of Obama? We wouldn't have one. We wouldn't. Okay? So, it's going to get better. And this is a trend that will happen and has been happening for years. It takes a while after a Republican comes into office to get the money flowing into the military, to get people back into the military, to get new equipment back into the military, new parts and everything that's needed and supplies, to get it up and operational the way it should be. This is something we've watched through the history of America. All right? And now, because of the internet and iPhones, and we can get information just like that, we're watching and seeing firsthand the effects of what has happened under Democratic presidents as far as the military is concerned. So that's your answer. Thank you. God bless you. Please, as always, say a prayer for our men and women in uniform serving the United States military, our veterans and their families, our first responders, our police officers, deputy sheriffs, firefighters, EMS, and please say a prayer for our president. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. I'm Douglas Ducote, and I hope you all have a blessed day. I'm out.